2463 Speakeasy in Bangkok, Thailand, was transformed into a venue for whiskey tasting. Welcome to Warriors Drink or Die.
I am Dean Rosen, resident single malt whiskey expert for White and Mackay in Asia. Today I'm going to take you on a tour of Scotland. But before we take a tour of Scotland, let me take you across time and across continents as well. Now, Shackelton is named after Sir Ernest Shackelton, who was knighted by the King of England in 1907 because he traveled further south than any other human being in history. In fact, he was so close to finding the South Pole. He was only 900 miles away, but he didn't discover the South Pole. Because, you see, even though Ernest Shackleton was an intrepid explorer, he was also a fantastic leader. And when he saw that his men were becoming sick and injured, he decided instead to turn back and return to the UK. And in order to speed up his return to the UK, he lightened the load by leaving tons of supplies behind at base camps in Antarctica. Fast forward 100 years to 2007. Archaeologists, they want to recreate or retrace the steps of this legendary expedition. And what they found was absolutely amazing. Because the sub-zero temperatures of Antarctica actually preserved all of Shackleton's supplies perfectly. In fact, for one of his base camps, archaeologists claim that when they entered it, it smelled like Shackleton and his men had been there yesterday. But what they found buried underneath the base camp was the most astonishing thing of all, which was 3 crates of a very rare blended malt that had not been produced for over 80 years. So the formula had been lost to time.
So they called upon a legendary master blender, Richard Patterson, to go to the site, sample the whiskey, and recreate it. I get cinnamon, apple, orange, and a hint of honey. Next, products from Jura. For Jura single malt 12 years old, I get dark chocolate, honey, nuttiness, citrus, coffee, banoffee, and licorice. For Jura's 12 years old sherry cask, I get honey, vanilla, rich fruitiness, toffee, brioche, apricot, chocolate, almond, ripe plum, cinnamon, and citrus.
Most unique whiskeys in our repertoire. This is the only whiskey in the world to be finished in 6 different virgin French oak casks. French oak has so much of its tannins. And these oak casks were selected because these are the regions in France that provide the oak which is used to cask Cabernet Sauvignon, King of the Reds, one of the most tannic French wines. And it's because of these tannins that we get so many different notes in our whiskeys, especially floral notes.
Other than floral notes, I also get coffee, ginger spice, and a hint of chocolate. It tastes of caramel, baked peach, licorice, and candied orange. For Jura's 18 years old, I get strawberry, cranberry, raspberry, toffee, cinnamon, black pepper, chili pepper, nutmeg, clove, and a hint of chocolate.
This is the whiskey of royalty. This is Fettercairn. Now, before we talk about the history of the whiskey itself, let's talk about the first thing that you see on the bottle. I don't know if everybody can see that, but there's a unicorn insignia. Now, not a lot of people know this, but the unicorn is actually the national animal of Scotland. It's one of the only countries in the world to have a fictitious creature as its national animal. But it's very significant for a Scotch whiskey to have a unicorn on the bottle because the Scottish government is very, very, very hands-on with the Scotch whiskey industry because it accounts for so much of their economy. So to have a unicorn adorn our bottles is almost like saying that we are the single malt of Scotland, and the Scottish government seems to agree. Now, the unicorn is not only the national animal of Scotland, it's also a symbol of purity. In ancient Gaelic mythology, unicorns would dip their horns into poisoned lakes and rivers to purify them. And purity is what makes Fettercairn so unique.
Fettercairn 12 years old, I get vanilla, pear, soft spices, peach, tropical fruit, coffee, clove, ginger, and licorice toffee. After the whiskey tasting, a few people and I stayed at the 2463 to hang out.